Hi, welcome to Crafting Corner, my near death experience that changed my life into being more chronically happy. So, I'm also going to be crafting during my story. Hopefully, I can multitask. We'll see. I may do more talking, I may do more crafting. We'll see. So, I was going to college full time through the VA, the Chapter 31 Vocational Rehab Program to get disabled vets with a 30% disability or higher accommodated and get a degree that is manageable for them with their disabilities and works with them and is also profitable to get that veteran hired. And the market looked good, and with all the extra, military points on the federal, USA jobs to get the job, we're like, yeah, it's a no-brainer. Yeah, she can get her forestry degree. And so I embarked on this long 6-year journey where I started at community college. Um, and I started when I was 32. I started when I was 32 and finished when I was 38. But that's not when, I gotta go backtrack. So I got my associate's degree at community college. Then I transferred to Oregon State University to get my. I originally was going to go for civil engineering dual degree forestry engineering, but I had a neuropsychiatric exam and I had learning disability that I needed to get accommodated for. I had mathematics disorder, more like numbers dyslexia. uh, I really do have full-on dyslexia too, though, because I do mix up my words and say things out of order all the time. And the ADHD and being on the spectrum, it's kind of part of it. It's part of the deal. But, it's cool. It's whatever. It's that I just learn differently. That's all. Um, and I knew this a long time ago, going into everything. I just didn't get it confirmed until I was in my 30s. I did not. I had no idea. But it really did dawn on me once I got that diagnosis. I'm like, wow, that really does make sense. It makes sense. Just didn't know. We just didn't test me out when in the 80s. I had all kinds of milestones I missed. But we were all in denial, and I was normal. And I whizzed through everything as an average student, growing up my entire life. Uh, Except for one fourth grade. Fourth grade, my teacher really hated me. Yeah, I was just like off in the clouds and distracting other kids with my ADHD. Uh, I couldn't focus. We didn't know anything about that stuff for girls back in the 80s. This diagnostic is still based off of boys, not women and girls. So, until the diagnostics change, that can't really change either for getting women diagnosed very easy with it. But awareness is getting there. Really, really fit big, especially on TikTok. I've seen. So, anyways, I need to get my letters in order. I do candy, and they're sexual in nature, in words. And I think they turn out fun. I'm doing a necklace, so this is going to take a lot longer than usual. So, anyways, getting back to, wow, I found this out in my 30s. Let me get some accommodations in college. And, yeah, I found out I had dyslexia of sorts, especially with numbers. And, so as I was getting higher up in math in the college levels, man, it was tough. I had to repeat a couple, and calculus was hard. And I just it was like, you know what? I am not going to make it through this. I barely made it through physics and chemistry for engineers. Chemistry for engineers, I got through that. I don't even know. That stuff was hard. I'm a science analytical pattern type of person, but that's because of my neurodiversity. Math, math numbers and things and order of operations. It's just not the same thing each time. I don't learn that way. I can't. I don't have the problem. I have executive dysfunction. I don't have the problem solving skills for the math number stuff. I just don't. And I've known this my entire life. I'm just like, oh, it's going to be tough to be an engineer. So I'm glad I changed my major when I applied for forestry program at Oregon State. I changed it to forest management. Thank goodness I did, because the classes I saw with my classmates that were engineers, but they had to do extra. I'm like, ooh, I'm glad I dodged that bullet. But it could have been achievable. It's just I had so many disabilities, like learning that I had EDS. I was getting a lot of diagnoses during college. I couldn't stop reading on peer-reviewed medical journals because I had college Oregon State access to peer-reviewed. I used it to my advantage to help get me diagnosed because the VA was not helping me. They were gaslighting me. I had to go to the ER. So I was in college doing a fit training class before I knew I had EDS. And I was doing HIIT training, doing push-ups, girl push-ups on my knees. And I felt a sharp pain in my elbow. And I'm like, oh man, oh, ow. Boy, did the pain never stop. I stopped doing the push-ups. I'm like, oh man. I went to the doctor on campus. I set up an appointment that day. And he's like, hello it is. He's like, you hurt yourself trying to get into shape. I'm like, yeah, I know. It's always something like that. So him and I both had a good little laugh, and I was on my way, and I ended up going to my VA doctor, and I asked her, I'm like, can I get a nerve conduction test? And she's like, no. I'm like, all right, well, I went to the ER, and they said, yeah, you should get freaking tested. So my doctor didn't like that because I had to go behind her back and go to the ER in order to get a doctor to sign off and be like, hey, look, this girl's in pain. You need to do a nerve conduction test. There was mild impingement from that. And when I was trying to do range of motion tests in the exam room with my doctor, my VA doctor, nurse practitioner doctor, she was like, stop exaggerating. I'm like, this hurts a lot. And she's like, I've known so many patients that have had the same mild impingement. You're overreacting. My VA doctor she was the nastiest with her mouth. Why would she take that kind of standpoint out on a patient? Telling me I'm exaggerating. I'm not exaggerating. When I couldn't hold my toothbrush because the pain and the sensation of my pinky finger, like, I'm still traumatized by that. I can't believe that my doctor would be like, you're lying. I'm like, no, I'm not. I have a mild impingement. And I'm like, I'm extra sensitive. And she's like, yeah, you're overreacting. I'm like, no. So I went to the ER, and I'm like, can you send a referral to go to Hope Orthopedics to a certain doctor? And he's like, yes. And so I fought with the VA. And I fought with the VA for like 6 months. Well, at the same time, I was going to full-time college, and I had a hard time. I'm right-hand dominant, and it was my impinged nerve in my right elbow, which I'm kind of like my dad. He has like mild narrow ways for his ulnar nerves too, and he's had to have his operated on. And I'm like, well, I followed suit. Well, so ultimately, I could not get, and then I was fighting with the Oregon State Disability Services. They did not want to accommodate me to give me extra time on my assignments. Thank goodness I communicated well with my professors, and I told them, look, dude, I'm trying to get all this stuff done. The VA are being jerks. I'm trying to get accommodations through the disability services, and they're like just saying like, no, people take advantage of extra time on assignments. You can do just fine. And I'm like, I have doctor's notes, man. I got recommending that I not use it, and I have these. I still have them. I should grab that actually, just to show. Uh, but the lengths I had to go through to fight with the VA because I got a doctor referral. And my VA doctor was furious. She was so mad that I got surgery on my I was exaggerating. She was so after I got surgery and it actually turned out to be a great surgery. Turned out fine. It fixed everything. I kind of like was a little smug about it. I'm like, yeah. I was like, yeah. I'm glad I had surgery. And she's like, I think you're stupid for having surgery on your elbow for no reason. Why would a doctor tell their patient that? That verbal abuse went on for years. I tried to talk to the patient advocate at the VA, the local office about my doctor, and they said there's so many veterans on the waiting list that either they die or they move away, and that's the only chance in hell that you're going to get a new doctor assigned to you because there's somebody on the wait list waiting for doctors. Your complaint will go nowhere. You can complain and request, but you're going to get denied straight up. That's what happens when you go to the patient advocate for the VA. They're like, basically, middle finger. And I'm like, wow. This was definitely right before community care stuff happened, and this is the medical PTSD that started it all. Like the gaslighting from my VA doctor this is what I got out of the service for. This was my first experience with the VA medical system, and it ruined my future for many, many doctors, and I'm a complicated patient. It's therapeutically talking about this. This is hard. Just the crap that I dealt with. And I was trying to go through college, and I was getting help from the disability services. I was getting help from my doctor. I really had no friends. I had no support. I had no life. I had assignments due. I had assignments due. And I worked my ass off. I had 18 hours. And I had the voc rehab counselor like, what in the F are you doing? I'm like, I'm only allowed so much financial aid. I'm only allowed to do this degree in so much time per the voc rehab program. I know how they are with their budget, and I know that it's not guaranteed unless they say they're going to guarantee. What they're going to guarantee is a 6-year program only, and there's no room for failure. And I cannot take longer than 6 years to have this done. Plus, I'm getting sick. I'm disabled. I don't know what the heck is wrong with me. I don't know why. Like, I had got medically discharged from the Navy, and then I was having all these other problems. Like, I spent 2 years outside of going to college right after I got discharged in 2010. Medically discharged for unknown pain that they tried to treat for 2 years. So we got nowhere. We got no answers besides herniated disc. And my doctors were like, everybody's got herniated disc. Nothing we can do for you. They threw out the book of pills at me, and I even went on the news at one point and called them out on like, why aren't they helping me look for answers, and they're denying me freaking imaging, like repeat imaging. They're like, well, let's find the answer. They didn't want to find the answer. They didn't want to throw drugs at me and not let me change doctors and let me deal with physical abuse and refusal of being able to get procedures and things done without outside sources and referrals. I mean, and then, what's that do? That really, I mean, that's crappy that I had to do that. I mean, my arms were twisted. I mean, I wanted to do it for my health and get better so I could get through my freaking degree because I was also getting help from the college. I had to drop some classes here and there, but there were only certain times a year that they were offered. And I had to repeat a couple. I also had to have sinus surgery when I was going through college. I did it during the holidays, during winter break, so I could, and it was like my 5th sinus surgery that I've had in my life. I've always had upper respiratory problems. I think I'm going to go pink. I really had a really tough time getting through college. I was dealing with a lot of medical issues. I was dealing with a lot of mental abuse. But I made it. I mean, I'm here. But there's so much more in between. I haven't even got to my near-death experience. So for my degree, not only am I supposed to have all of these credits done within 6 years and have so many credit hours and internships, and I couldn't do it all in one summer because I had to do full-time college all summer, and I couldn't do both. I finally made it work towards the end of my degree, my junior year. I was able to set it up to do an internship down in Southern Oregon. And this is where we're getting close to this near-death experience. It was also the year Oregon had 1 billion wildfires, and they were down in Southern Oregon, and my ranger station was actually home base to all the wildfire activity and a center for everything. And I was living right there on the compound at that job during that internship, doing full-time college online while doing my work day. And then I also went through firefighter training. I had to get the waiver for the pack test because there's no way I'm disabled. I can't run. Like, that's the reason I'm disabled. I got discharged from the Navy. The pain started when I was running, and there's lots of reasons why that all began. But I didn't know any of this for years. So I still, unbeknownst to me about all my medical issues, exactly what was going on. At this point, when I was working down for a summer, and then all these wildfire things happened, and I was still going to school full time, and I also just had my ulnar nerve surgery right when I started my, at the beginning of my internship at that freaking job. That job was very, very lenient with me. I had to do a lot of field work, and I had to stay on extra long for fire season after that into the following term, and that was, thank goodness things lined up the way they did. But I was doing so much. I was doing rehab. I was doing full-time work. I was doing after-hours security watch for fires, the wildfires, extra hours. I was also going 2 hours round trip to go to physical therapy for my ulnar nerve thing. So I was working a job. I was working fires. I was going to rehab for my surgery. And one day I was on my way to rehab from fire watch. My coworkers were taking over. I was getting off work early because I had rehab. So, I had everything arranged through work, and they were very accommodating, being a federal agency and my disabilities and stuff. They couldn't discriminate. Until I was driving, and I felt like I was going a little bit too fast around the highway corner. Some highways down in the middle of nothing down in Southern Oregon. I had on the highway towards Crater Lake, the most beautiful national thing in Oregon. So I laid on the brake, and the vehicle wasn't slowing down or turning the curve at all. It was stuck, and I was going head over a 40-foot embankment off the highway. That is the scariest thing, to have your vehicle not stop. Your foot is floored to that brake, and that brake's doing nothing, and your vehicle is going straight over a 40-foot embankment. And I closed my eyes, and I was like, I love my parents. I pray to God, please let me survive this. I could not open my eyes until I felt the momentum of flipping twice, and then boom, lands, glass shattered everywhere around me. Well, the vehicle was facing the opposite direction of where I was headed, and the driver's side door was resting up against a tree like this. I couldn't get out of the driver's door. I couldn't get out the passenger door. All the glass was shattered. The windshield, I had a metal grate. I had like Gatorade, like a cooler, like all the stuff from Firewatch, like in the back of the truck. So I had like all kinds of stuff flying around with me in the cab and out the bed of the truck and down a 40-foot embankment. I know I flipped twice. I felt it. It was my stomach. I'm just ooh, with my eyes closed. I didn't want to be traumatized with my eyes open. I couldn't watch. I couldn't watch. That's the scariest thing I've ever felt in my entire life. A 40-foot embankment going head first right over. I thought I was gonna die, and I didn't hit my head on anything. Um, my arm, I felt the arm that I had surgery on. I was kind of worried about that, how it kind of got flung. Uh, I was really worried. And I didn't know what hospital to go to. There were two hospitals to choose from, but they were both over 2 hours away from the scene of the accident. I had to climb up a 40-foot, I had to crawl out the passenger door window. I radioed. The first thing I did, I radioed. The radio was working. I was like, hey, I just crashed. I just left, blah, blah, blah. I tried to give them as much information as possible. The adrenaline was pumping. Like, this is before I crawled out. Like, I was on the CB radio reporting back, and all the, it was fire stuff. Everything was, cleared traffic to get my transmission. They're like, we're on their way. And, yeah, and I just tried to gather, what I could, like my phone, and I had to crawl out the passenger window and climb up this 40-foot embankment to get to the highway just to show where I was. And the adrenaline, just the rush, just like, it was so traumatic. uh, But the best thing that I did afterwards, after all this, like, and I had to choose. Okay, so let me finish the story a little bit before I go ahead. So like I said, any hospital, I don't remember which hospital I chose. I just know I had to transfer between two different ambulances to get to the hospital over like 3 hours just to get there. It was quite the experience. It was eye opening. Like ever since that day, I've been like so thankful because I had no extra injury. The only injuries I had when I got to the ER from the hospital is scrapes, cuts on my head from the glass shattering behind me, and I walked away from that accident with no other injuries. I have believe in God, and I believe I have guardian angels watching over me because, I mean, I was inches from that tree just being head on, and I could have been, like, the realness of, like, I went to the accident scene the very next day with my family. I had my family drive down from from where they lived in north, more north of me in Oregon. And so my parents and my aunt and uncle were by my side. Aunts and uncles were by my side. Uh, Scared, so scared. Scared, the most scared I've ever been in my life. And to live through that. I went back the very next day against my coworkers or the supervisor's advice. I was like, I need to go process this. I'm not trying to have PTSD over this accident, but that accident has changed my life. I am so happy to be alive. Because in that moment, I've never been so scared in my life. Of it being, when it really comes down to it in the very, very end, I don't care how old you are, I feel like it's always going to be like that. Just, oh my gosh. I'm not ready to stop. I'm not ready to give up. I'm going to fight until the very end. And that's why I'm so thankful to be alive. And to manifest positivity and lift each other up. because you don't know when that point's going to happen. And car accidents are like one of the leading causes of death in the United States. And now knowing that I have EDS and hypermobile EDS, that is also my saving grace. It's my superpower and why I've survived 15 car accidents, including a 40-foot embankment rollover accident. Because if you think about it, and I hate to bring up this analogy, it's not a very good one. Hopefully nobody's triggered by this. Trigger warning, alcoholism, drunk driving, accidents. I actually had one happen right in front of me when I was a teenager that crippled my aunt on somebody's wedding day. That marriage didn't last either, to say the least. Anyways, it was eye-opening. I know I'm not ready to go. I have so much more love to give and inspiration. Because if I can live through all of that and be this messed up and diseased, you do things to prolong it. I mean, it's not ideal. I mean, I don't wish anybody to have any of this chronic illness stuff. It sucks. Like, I've been in so much pain today. I have not been out of bed hardly at all. Like, I still, like, need to, like, get out of my day clothes that you guys saw me dress into earlier. So, I'll be in my PJs here pretty soon after this video. Because they're just not as comfortable to lay around in. But, I needed to have the compression difference. Since I wasn't moving around as much today. So it's been a good thing. I've been saving my spoons because it took all my spoons. It took all my spoons for spoon theory, which is a chronic illness theory of you only have so many spoons per day and per week, and sometimes you have to borrow spoons for the next day, and you really only have so many, and if you keep borrowing, you know, you're going to end up on no spoons, and you're going to be crashed. Being chronic illness, you're going to have a flare and crash. So you have to balance. You have to balance your life with some rest and slow down. Even though your mind may be faster, you've got to slow down. And you've got to lower your expectations of your abilities. I'm still learning, and I'm still learning how to let go of being more able-bodied. And admitting I really do need more help with these assessments lately with my caretaking. It was so triggering to talk about what I can and can't do and what I do want help with and what I don't want help with. Like, I want to be as independent as possible. But realistically right now, like, seeing how messy my life is compared to how it was before, I'm like, this is not where I want to be. This is not my goal. This is not the quality I want right now. I need help. And I think if I get help for the short term, I think in the long term, I will be more able-bodied. I think I will be better off. I just have to get there first. And I need help getting there. And it's okay that I need help getting there. My life used to be so organized. Plain system that is now getting really trashed because I still have all that other stuff under there to go through. I have so much PTSD over all of it. I have so much PTSD over all of it. But I'm getting there. I'll be able to go through it here soon. I'm getting the courage. The more I look at it, the more I'm like building my courage up. And I'm like, help is on the way. I think it is. I really do think help is on the way. I really am praying that the state will go in my favor and give me some caretaking hours. I really hope, because it will really help. My goal is to be more able-bodied than I am right now. I don't know how realistic it is. knowing how progressive all my things are. But I feel like I can manifest anything, and I'm going to think positive, and I think I can. So therefore, I will. I'm just so glad to be sharing my near-death experience with y'all. It really did change my life, and for the better. I want to inspire others. If I can go through all of that and still be here and smile and be thankful, you can too. There's everybody has a story. I'm just telling a short little story of mine. I have so many more to tell. I have more uplifting ones to tell as well. They're not all sappy like this. But I just, I want it to be inspiration to. I want to inspire. You can do it. If I can do all that. And I finally did get Oregon State to accommodate me. I got Oregon State to accommodate me for extra time on assignments. It took a lot of convincing, and it took a lot of documentation, especially when I had an unwilling VA doctor to back me up because I was exaggerating. So I didn't have that much support in my journey at all by anybody, friends, therapists. I didn't have time. I was bouncing back and forth between doing all my homework. I had labs to do. I had to go to Oregon State property and study. I had labs, I had exams, and I needed extra time on exams. I have a professor, I think, like at least for 2 or 3 terms after he had me as a student. I had my other students in the classes below me tell me they brought me up how even though I spent 12 hours on the exam, which is the longest time anybody ever spent. Ever. Yeah. And he bragged about me, like, even though she took 12 hours, she did it. She got through it. He tried to use me as inspiration to the students below, even though some of the students would be like, "You're talking crap." I'm like, you just don't get it, man. He's trying to use it as inspiration that, no matter how slow you think you are or how stupid you think you are, you can still make it. And I actually did. I did make it, and I'm still amazed to this day I made it. I can't believe I made it, but I did have some extra help. I had help. uh, uh, there were lots of things I had to do to get extra help, and that was just mostly communicating with my professors. Made the biggest difference in the world. And I try to teach that to my classmates, and I'm like, "What are you so scared of?" They're like, I don't have the assignment, blah, blah. I'm like, dude, just talk to them. Just be like, "Hey, I don't got the assignment, blah, blah, blah." I was pretty much upfront and honest with all my professors all the time, and it was pretty awesome. They respected me, I respected them, and I got my degree, and I had all these extra struggles along the way, and they accommodated me whether the disability services fucking officially would do it or not. There were some professors that were so by the book that they were like, "We rely on this thing," and I'm like, why? That's just extra time and paperwork and extra running around I have to go, and extra hoops I just have to jump through just to get help. Be like, "Hey, I just need a little extra time because I'm a little extra more crippled with my dominant hand that I write with and type with." I mean, I'm a little ambidextrous, but my ADHD is so hard to focus, and I had to do it by going to the college library and doing all my homework and stuff there so I could focus, because at home I can't focus, and it was so hard to do in the online courses because of being able to focus. I'm an in-person person. And I'm motivated by others. And when I see others do it, and I can't see anybody do it from my home, now there is such a thing as Zoom. So, I mean, when I was doing it, it wasn't so much Zoom at this point. So, man, I feel old. But yeah, I struggled a lot in college, and I had lots of surgeries, recoveries, failures. But I'm stronger for this. I've made it on the other side. I persevered, even though now I can't use it at all. I can't use my degree. I can't use my degree because I'm too disabled now. I worked hard, and I can say I got it though. And I had one more internship after that, the following summer after I graduated, right after I graduated, 20 years after my high school graduation. So I graduated 20 years apart college with my bachelor's degree of science from high school, 20 years apart from that. I thought it was pretty cool. I had the coolest cap. I had a whole forest on the top of my cap for graduation for my ceremony. It was awesome. I'm glad I had that opportunity to have that achievement in my life. I actually worked 2 jobs after that. The other one was with the Veteran Conservation Corps with Washington State when I moved up there. When I was homeless, I had to use the hEDS program when I was only 90% VA disability. I had to, I wasn't making enough money after my job finished with the VLM in Eastern Oregon, Bureau of Land Management in Eastern Oregon. And that's when I finally started getting my diagnoses too. And it was the VA system that was over in that part, Washington, the VA system that they actually helped me get diagnosed. So it got me to a geneticist. It was amazing. I finally got help, and I finally figured out I had EDS, and I finally had POTS and mast cell issues, and but that also was the end of my career, was getting all my diagnoses. I tried to do one more job, and then I had spinal cord surgery, and then I've been done for because of COVID shutdowns, and now I'm trying to do the rehab from that spinal cord surgery 4 years later. 4 years later after my surgery, I'm trying to get rehab to learn how to walk better when I'm falling apart more with arthritis and injury. So that's me being real, and that's why I'm thankful to be alive. I've lived through a lot, and you can too.